So the security reports are probably the most, what I think, most useful of this entire application, to be quite honest, because it pulls out data that's otherwise very hard to get to, or it's very hard to assemble without doing a lot of work, which is what I did for everybody by doing this. So as you can see from the application itself, we have users, teams, security roles, business units, field security, hierarchy, positions, and access team templates. And there are um, um, worksheets or documents depending for each of those. And then there are other detail folders that are with these as well. So let's kind of go through this real quick. So access team templates is just a list of all your access team templates along with the privileges that you've given that template. The business units list, which is the Excel document, lists out the business unit, the parent, and the number of users, and if there's a division, if it's in that as well. The corresponding Word document just lists out the hierarchy. And I actually created this one for a specific customer who had a lot of business units and really just had to understand what was going on. And this is how I did it, was just by creating this Word doc and then just basically this is the parent and then this is a child business unit, and so the parent's always at the top and then the subordinate units will be spaced underneath that. So that's how you read that. Field security, if you have any field security, this will list out the entity, the attribute, what profile you're using, and then the actual security privileges that you can get to it. If you have hierarchy security turned on, or sorry, hierarchical security turned on, this will kind of give you the overview of this. I think it's not using positional. It is turned on, and then I've got a couple of different things in there, so really not being used at all. Positions, which is related to hierarchical security. We have CEO, and then the sales manager is a child of the CEO. So this is a title position or a management position. So if you haven't played with the uh, position security, it's another aspect or another way to do security, and it's part of the hierarchical security system. Okay, security roles lists out all the security roles. So I've kind of got this. This is kind of the same data like 3 times. So what I do is I have all security roles. Now this may not be all of them. So pretty much if you haven't modified something, there was a time where I was actually not pulling out all the data, but I think I've fixed that. So anyway, here is the name of the security role, what business unit it is in, how many users are on that, how many teams are associated with it, what solution it's in, if it's in a solution. The roles by team and user is pretty much, I have this is kind of broken down, and it's easier to see in the pivot table. I'll show you in just a second. But like, I personally have all of these security roles set up. So this is just a breakdown by user of every single security role that they have. Then I have a pivot table for that same thing. So if I look at my name here, you can see that I have all of these security roles. So if there's a 1 in there, that means it's used. And this is just a way for you to figure out who has what. The biggest one, of course, is, where is it? Alphabetical order. How many people do I have in my system administrator role? 6. Okay, is that good or bad? I don't know. That's for you to decide. But this is kind of what I use to find stuff. So similarly, if I'm looking for people with the system administrator role, I could just go click this, go down system administrator, and say, okay, that's me, that's me. The rest of these are internal to the system that Microsoft created, so I don't care. Okay. So anyway, that's a quick way for you to find who has the security roles of system administrator, because that's one of the system. And I think I'll have a video on this later on some of the gotchas and things like that that Snapshot helps you find. Okay, team membership is similar to the other stuff. Basically, it just lists the team. In this case, here is the organization team. If you didn't know, when you create a Dynamics 365 organization, it will create an internal team that's managed automatically for the business unit you're in, which is the root business unit. And then this is all of the people that are inside of that. Here is an access team I created where I'm the only member. So again, it's just a way for you to figure out who is part of what team and what's happening there. Teams lists out the actual teams. So you have the name, the business, the type of team, either, well, it's kind of like a business unit thing there. How many people, how many users are in it, the business unit, does it have a queue and description, things like that. So nothing earth-shattering there. And some of this is more than redundant. It's just I wanted to separate it out. And a lot of times when you see me when you see a report that's like duplicate or something, I guarantee you I came up with a unique situation where I had to have the data displayed in a certain way to give it to somebody or to review it myself. So team membership is kind of is exactly like that. And then users, again, is just a dump of the users. So anything you can imagine that is useful to us. Now I have cut this down quite a bit from earlier versions. There used to be a lot of address information, which I found to be totally useless to everybody. So I removed it, but this is the common stuff. So anytime that you want to, look at get a list of users, and if what their access mode is, are they active or inactive? That's a good one to have. So that's pretty much it on the main security file. So let's get into some of the data here. Okay, so this is the thing I'm the most proud of, and the one that took me months to get going. So here is documentation for the security roles. So well, that wasn't a good selection. Let me try another one here. Sorry. Let's see. What do I have? My sales person. Okay, maybe a little bit better. Okay, so salesperson is the security role. So salesperson is the security role. Business unit is the end, the number of users and teams that have been assigned this role, in case it was 0, sorry. And then here's all the privileges. So I have tried my best to duplicate how we see things within the user interface. So if you see things missing, it's because Microsoft has added it, and I just haven't gotten around to adding it to the application, because it's kind of a long drawn out process, and I'll explain it a little bit better in a minute about why it's a long drawn out process. But what I have here is I've created basically icons to match the ones in the actual security role itself. So we have at the top the main core privileges, and then each set of privileges generally has a miscellaneous behind it or underneath it. So if you don't see anything, it's because it's empty. So that's just about it. So this is just a duplication of the actual interface that you see within Dynamics. So let's jump over and look at the other folder in here, and that is the raw data folder. Let me go down and see salesperson. So here is going to be a really quick lesson in dynamic security. So this is what the data looks like inside of the system. It is nothing but row after row of data that describes a specific privilege. So I've got it documented by entity logical name, by privilege name, by depth, and by depth. Let me fix this. Depth mask, which is how it actually shows up. So I think inside the database it's just these two things here, maybe that one. Okay, so how you read this is all the privileges start with PRV followed by the type of privilege, followed by the entity name. So priv write action card, append action card, create action card. These are at the user level. At the organization level, I can delete my own accounts. I can share anybody's accounts. I can create only my accounts. Okay, I can append to anybody. I can write to anybody. I can append to an account. I can append an account to anybody. And then finally, I can assign only accounts that I own. So that's how you read that. The depth mask is basically, this is the numeric equivalent of this. So the biggest issue that I had when I was creating these reports is this is the data that I got out of the system, and this is what it ended up as. So what had to happen is I had to change a linear set of data into a matrix, which was quite fascinating to figure out, and it took me quite a bit of time, but seems to work okay. And again, if you ever see a privilege missing, it's because Microsoft either changed the name or they added it. Sometimes they remove things, not that often. Also remember that SnapShot generally supports from Serum 2011 up, so things change along the way, names change, privileges are added, privileges are removed in some cases. Like I said, not often they remove stuff. But if you ever see something that's not as the way it should be, just please let me know, and I can try and fix it. Because, and like I said, most time it's they will change the name, especially when you get into the miscellaneous privileges and stuff. Like this here has changed probably, I think, 3 or 4 times what that's called, or sync to Outlook or Serum for mobile, that's changed. That is probably, I don't think that's what they call it these days, to be quite honest. Okay, so anyway, so this is the raw data. I include this in case you don't, or you find a discrepancy with this report. If you ever find a discrepancy with this report, open up the raw data, find the privilege. If you see the privilege here and you don't see it on the report with the dots, then I made a mistake, so you need to contact me and let me know that. Okay, and send me the data if you don't mind. Okay. Okay. Couple small things here. Go back to where SnapShot is. If I can find it, there it is. Okay. I didn't run this report, but what this is, and I don't know. So sorry, I'm babbling here. I apologize. At one point in time, security was handled internally a little bit differently than it appears now. And I am not sure if I've just been doing this for too long and I've forgotten things, which is that probable, or they actually changed the way things are, because they have changed things over the years. So there is another set of reports called a user security privilege report, along with the associated raw data export. And what this is a report that comes out. I'll tell you what, let me go grab one real quick from an earlier dump. Hang on one second, I'll be right. Okay, so I'm in a different report thing, and you'll notice there are 2 others here. Actually 3 others. I'm sorry, I should have done that one too. So basically we have user privileges, user privilege raw data, and then privilege by entity. So what is in a user privilege is exactly what it says. So let me bring up mine. Now mine's probably a bad idea. So anyway, this is user. So is this user enabled? What business unit are they part of? What teams are they a part of? And what security roles are they a part of? And then the rest of it is exactly like the other report. It's just a bunch of circles, as you would see. Where this one is different is this is a list of privileges according to me, or according to the user, which in this case is me. So theoretically, what this is how the user sees the system. Okay. Now, like I mentioned, they seem to have changed a few things, because the way that security used to work, if you had a membership to a team that had a security role and you didn't have that security role, that security role from the team was added to your security. That's how it used to work. I had a situation about a year ago where I questioned that, and I haven't actually looked at it lately. I don't know if it was a point in time thing or if they've changed the internal workings. But the idea here is this report was written to show me at the end of the day, after all security is applied to my user, what do I have? And this is a very quick and easy way to find out what users have what privileges when you start having privilege issues, etc. So if we go back to our report, the raw data is exactly the same as that. So it's just the dump exactly the way the other things popped out. Okay. And then the final set of reports is privileges by entity. So like, for instance, if I look at the account, I am going to have a list of security roles, and then for account, I'm going to show what is the security for this entity, which happens to be account, inside the security role. So for the account manager role, I have business unit, organization, business unit. I think that's what that is. But now for bot author has no control over that, or contributor, or transcript viewer, or CCI admin. They have no privileges to these. Okay, so this is a summary across all entities and all security roles as to how this specific entity is being treated by each one of these. And the reason that this exists is because some people go really crazy with security roles, and what happens is they create a whole bunch of roles that are almost exactly the same except for one thing, and then they assign both of those to the same person. Well, then when you go to modify those security roles, now you don't know which one to modify because they're all similar enough to do most of the work, but different enough to not do specific things, and it causes an issue. And so that's kind of why I did this, to see just, flat out, okay, if I'm doing field service, what can I do? Well, if I'm for the administrator, I have that, and then for the account, and then I have that. So the way these work out at the end, which I probably should add that would not be a bad thing. Remember, security roles are cumulative. So that's what the user report shows, is the summation of all of the security that you have applied to it. So anyway, again, what this does is just show you by entity what the security is. Okay, and again, it's pretty handy if you're trying to diagnose security issues. And again, you'll find one for every entity. As you can see, you've got 852 in this. This is pretty much, at one point, was all of Microsoft solutions, including field service, project service, customer service, sales. Everything was in here. So the whole thing was there. So that's what the privileges by entity are. So that pretty much covers the whole thing. One last report here I didn't show is if you have any users without security privileges, so that means no roles, there's a simple text file, and I'll probably end up putting this inside the system into one of the Excel worksheets. But right now it's right here. So here is a list of 3 different users with no security roles assigned. Okay. Whenever you go into the admin console, inside the classic admin console anyway, you'll see a warning that you have users without security roles assigned, and this just documents that. If you don't have any people like that, this file will not be there. Okay, but this case we did, because this is just a test system is what this is, and so it's got fake users in it, and just says 3 of them do not have security roles. Okay. So that's about it. Like I said, security is probably the most comprehensive of it, and there are some kind of gotchas I'm going to get into a little bit later in a different video, but that's it for security in SnapShot version 5. Thanks.